Hey everybody! Well, here we are, 4 days out of the gastric sleeve surgery, and today was a good day. I don't have any pain at all. Got my water in, but I'm gonna share some things during this video that are a little embarrassing, but also some things I wish I would have known before the surgery so that I could be more prepared for them. So let's jump right into it. So, like I said, 4 days out, no surgery or no pain. I went back to work. I'm in sales, so I, have a little different job than some people. If I was in construction or a more physically demanding job, I probably would take a couple more days just for the sutures to heal up a little bit better. But I mean, I feel great physically. The emotional is what's still getting me a little bit. I talked about it briefly last night about when we go on these diets, and with this, you're forced to go on a diet where it's all liquids. And I understand why we have to do it. One is to let you heal on the inside, your incisions, things like that, and to keep the water intake up, to flush out all the medications and drugs they pumped into me while I was under. But last night I got brave and decided, like, okay, I've had bouillon, I've had water, I'm ready to go to some Jello and see how that treats me. And okay, here's the first embarrassing thing. They told us about dumping syndrome briefly, like, hey, if you eat too much, you might throw up or you might get diarrhea. All right. So in my brain, I'm like, if you eat too much or drink too fast, you might get diarrhea. So I have a little bit of Jello. I go tell my wife, let's go for a quick walk because we've been walking up and down the driveway a lot. And I just had a bite of Jello. Grab my wife, we go outside, we start to walk a little bit, and I was like, something's not right. Well, this is my experience, and I'm going to share it with you with dumping syndrome. It doesn't give you a warning it's coming. I crap my pants in the driveway. And it wasn't like, hey, you're going to need to get to the bathroom quick. It was like, hey, something doesn't feel right. And it was terrible. It was like, I don't know if you have kids or not when they're babies, because I haven't had anything to eat for 5 days now. So it was just a terrible thing. And I learned a hard lesson. But just in case anybody, gets brave and like, hey, I'm at work and I've had water and I've had bouillon, I've done great, I'm going to try something a little different, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Luckily, I was at home and it was nighttime, but just the emotional scarring from that is enough to make me realize I'm not going to be too adventurous, or push things too fast. I kind of thought about it a little bit more too, and the fact is, since I haven't had solid food in several days, my body's inside is probably the cleanest it's been. And adding things in like artificial sugars and artificial sweeteners, because I didn't feel good on Crystal Light either. And so for me, I've just decided that, instead of pushing through it and see what I can get back to, I'm just going to say those aren't for me. I'll stick with the water, the bouillon, and then when it's time to graduate to the protein shakes, I'll find the one that works for me. But I think that's where people get in trouble, and that's where I could see myself getting in trouble as well, is that instead of being like, that doesn't work for me, and maybe we'll revisit it later down the road, of having that attitude of, I can't wait till I get back to where I can eat normal, and eat all the things I love. And that goes right into what I was talking about in my last video, and that if I take that approach, I've wasted a lot of money and a lot of time, because that's just saying I want to get skinny for a little bit and then I'll just go back to how I was, and that's not my intention. And when I had the deal with the emotional side of it the other day, it was tough, but it was purely emotional because I haven't been hungry even a little bit. I haven't had any urge to eat physically. My stomach hasn't growled. I haven't been like, oh, I need some food, this is terrible. It's been pretty easy, and I felt pretty good, with the exception of the walking incident. But other than that, it's been good. And so I know it's mental for me, because I've always just, like, when I'm bored, I eat. When I'm happy, I eat. When I'm sad, I eat. And, someone said, well, why would you do that without dealing with the emotional side first? And I think the reason is because I felt that I needed to take this away to deal with it, take away the option of, oh, I'm doing really good. I've got a good, healthy relationship with food until I don't, and then I binge out. Like, binging's off the table for me. That's been my struggle for years, is the sheer amount of food that I can eat. So that's off the table. Now I can focus on, why do I feel like that? And, yesterday was the first time where I was like, because you're bored. So I need to start a hobby. I'm still deciding what that's going to be. I got an old pickup truck sitting on our property that doesn't run real reliably, so maybe I'll teach myself how to work on cars. But sitting in the house and just knowing the refrigerator's there isn't going to work. I've got to create new habits. So that's going to be the top thing. And the other thing I think about, and I'll leave on this tonight. Sometimes people see that someone had surgery and they think they took the easy way out. Or, why would you do that? All you need to do is try a little harder. And I was thinking about this analogy today, is that if you were on a lake and you're in a big, beautiful boat and you saw someone drowning, you knew they were drowning, you knew they were doing harm to themselves, would you sit in your boat and say, just try a little harder, swim a little longer, and maybe things will work out for you? But if you don't try a little harder now, you'll never know. There's a couple ways that could go. They might try a little harder, they might be able to get to your boat, or they might just drown. And you have a life jacket, or you have a lifeline that you could throw them to save them. Don't you think if you saw someone drowning, you'd throw it to them? And that's how I look at this surgery. Is it's a lifeline for the physical part. It's not going to correct any of the mental things that I go through. That's going to be another journey. But physically, it's eliminating the ability to say, oh, you know what? I'll start tomorrow because I had a bad day today. Or I'll start next week, but I'm just going to eat as much as I can this week, just so I remember all the foods I loved. It's an abusive relationship. And if you see someone drowning, you need to throw them that lifeline. And I saw myself drowning. I was treading water. I knew I was in trouble. And I knew I needed to do something drastic. And that's what this is for me. It's taking that step to say, I'm going to do something that I cannot undo. You cannot undo that surgery once you have it. You can stretch yourself back out. You can get yourself back up to your original weight. But you can't undo the fact that you're going in to have part of your stomach taken out. And that's why I did this. And that's why I feel it's right for me, is because it addresses the physical side. Now I have to do my workouts. Now I have to eat right. Now I have to create a healthy relationship with food and treat it as a fuel instead of a fun time. There's a lot going on, and I'm not going to do them all in one video. As of right now, I feel like I made the right decision, but I'm not as excited as some people. I think a lot of people had the surgery and they're like, my life's cured. I've done that before. After I won The Biggest Loser, I was like, I'm cured. And I wasn't. I didn't deal, I'll tell you what, I didn't deal with a single emotional eating issue that I needed to when I was on that show. It's all physical. That's easy for me. But the emotional part is what hung me up. And that's what I'm really focusing on with this journey, is the emotional. So we'll be talking a lot about that. Guys that watch this video, chances are you see some tears or some anger come from me. It's because we tend to just bottle things up and be like, okay, it'll get better. It'll get better because I say it's going to get better, but, we got to work at it. So one of the things I think you'll see in these videos is they're pretty open. I mean, hey, this is the second one I've done. I already told you I crapped my pants. So, we got that going for us. I said that's going to be the last thing. This is really going to be it, because I had a few people message me and say they're going for surgery tomorrow. Here's what I want to tell you that no one told me. Get up and get moving. They say it, but I got up. I realized I was going to the bathroom a lot. So every time I got to go to the bathroom while I was in the hospital, I did 2 laps. And then I came back and had a sip. I sat up for a minute, then laid back down. And, the whole time I was in there, even if it was the middle of the night, you get your laps in, you get the water in. Because I heard people complaining, next door to me about how bad they felt. And then in the morning, like, oh, they woke me up every 2 hours. Well, yeah, just make sure we're not dead. So get up and be proactive, because those nurses and doctors, they're not going to be there when you get home. So if you start that habit right away, and it's I've been doing it. Anytime I think about it, I just go for a quick walk. Even today at work, I just walk a little bit. It's not going to affect my job that much to go for a few minutes of a walk. So get that in and realize that the water, as much of a pain as it's going to be, is going to flush you out. Like when I left the hospital, I'll put some pictures up later when I figure out how to do that. My hands were like, I mean, hot dogs. They're like bratwurst. They were so swollen. And now they've calmed down. But drink that water. I mean, what it's doing is just creating new habits for us. Whereas before we would just put food in our mouth. Now it's like, hey, I'm going to take a sip. I'm going to take a sip. And don't worry about counting it so much as knowing that every time you take a drink, you're closer to your goal. You know, and make sure that you're drinking water where it's just an obscene amount. I haven't had any issues with, you know, not being able to go to the bathroom, either one or two. And I felt great. And the other thing is, if you can handle it, get off that pain medication as fast as you can, especially the narcotics, because they just poison you. And like I said, I'm on my 4th day and I feel awesome, zero pain. So don't rely on those. 'Cause I think we need to kind of feel this physical pain to remind us of what we've done and what we want to accomplish. Because if we just mask it with drugs, it's no different than masking it with food. You know, it did that first day. It hurt a little bit, and you need to feel it. You know, this is just me talking. This isn't me as a doctor or any type of professional. It's saying, feel that and remember it and know why you're doing this. So that's it for tonight. Sorry it was a little longer. We'll get it worked out. My plan is to do these videos at least every day for the first week or two, and then maybe drop off, because I think that every day there's something new that comes up. And you know, I don't know. I'm not familiar with YouTube. My sons are telling me, like, Dad, don't forget to tell them to subscribe and like and all that. So if that's something that you need to do, go ahead. But we're just going to talk, and I'm going to keep talking, because one of the main things with this video is, one, for me to, you know, recall and talk through my experience and my feelings, but it's also to let other people know, like, hey, doing this surgery is not the easy way out. There's nothing easy about it. We'll talk about what it took to get here. Talk about what it's like during, what it's like afterwards. And, you know, you got to do what's right for you. And some people, that it's not the surgery, it's working and continue to work, and it does good. Some people have the surgery and they go back. We all have different experiences. It's how we deal with them that shapes us. So, you know, don't let yourself get down and burdened because of what you think other people are going to think. The amount of outpouring of support when I made this announcement, when I said I'd done it, it shocked me, because I was expecting, like, whoa, what'd you do that? Why'd you take the easy way out? Well, you already blew this experience on The Biggest Loser. You know, like, you go through all these things in your head and you realize, you know what? There's a lot more people that want to see you be successful and take the path that's right for you than there are that want to see you fail and be miserable. So hope everybody has a great night or great morning if you're watching it in the morning, and we'll talk to you later.